Today we are going to be doing something that apparently everybody on YouTube has gotten to, but I had gotten there. I haven't gotten there yet until today. But I did not get there yet until today. Every girl has like a dream wardrobe, like an aesthetically pleasing idea for what they want their wardrobes to look like and what they want their style and their fashion to look like. And for the longest time, like many of us do, I have been saving all the things that I want to make and sew in a Pinterest board. I even have saved boards back as far back as 2020, 2019, and it's so ridiculous to me that I haven't even tried or made any effort to do some of these things. So this is going to be episode 1 of making things for my Pinterest board. This Pinterest board is even named Dream Wardrobe, and it's named that for a reason. Many of the things that are on this board are things that I have been putting off for the longest time, but today is the day that we are starting. And yes, this is the first episode. If there's anything that you've seen on my board or anything special that you have on your Pinterest board and you think that I will be totally into, make sure that you share with me in the comments. So I made this dress a while back and I haven't really worn it out a lot because I've not had the kind of parties and events that require, this outfit to be worn to. And that's not the only problem with this dress. If you look very closely at this dress, you can see that it has quite a number of fit issues. I would have taken the time out to try to fix these fit issues and see, but the thing is that I'm still not going to wear the design, and I don't know how to stop being stuck on making outfits that I do not wear. Like a lot of the things that I make sometimes, I feel like they don't fit into the kind of lifestyle that I currently live in, like they don't fit into my day-to-day living. So when I'm kind of going out, like I can't really wear them, so I need to bring it back home and start making things that I actually can wear out. And that is, well, for this one is not necessarily something I'm going to wear out, but it's something I can wear for like an evening stroll in the house while making videos. And this style that we are making today has seen quite a number of iterations. Like there've been so many different iterations that I don't even know where the original is from anymore, but we are still going to take a dig at it. So let's get to the video. So I really have this idea that I want to completely sew up everything on my now Pinterest board, which is the dream board. If you know you want to continue to see more episodes of this, and this is going to be a tutorial, so it's something you can sew along and get yours too. That is if you are really into freehand sewing and you know how to sew freehand. But sometimes I'll be using a pattern. In this episode I did not use a pattern because of how quickly I had to make the outfit. It was going to be a 1 day challenge. After loosening up the fabric, I felt a little burst of energy and I just had to do this dance. But guys, look at my muzzle. Ugh. If you like how big my muzzles are, subscribe. If you dislike how they are, like this video. The thing about making a new dress from an already existing piece is that you cannot play with ironing your pieces. Everything has to be as straight as it possibly can. So you have to iron every single thing over and over again. I don't know if you are going to be making yours. Most of you might not be making yours with an existing piece of clothing, but if you are, or ever consider that upcycling anything that you have, that is a tip that you need to keep very close to you. In fact, a very good idea just dropped on my mind right now. How about you select the next outfit from my dream wardrobe Pinterest board that I'm going to make next? I'm going to be making a poll later this evening or Monday. So go ahead and make a vote for what you want to see next. So all the pieces are well ironed now, which means what is left is cutting and sewing. I'm really deciding on whether to use a pattern for this, but it's too late to try to use a pattern for this. But this is a very simple freehand method. I'll try to take it as step by step as much as I can so that even if you haven't used freehand before, or if you don't know how to use freehand, you can kind of get the hang of it, as long as you know how like patterns work. I already marked it out, as you can see, because unfortunately my camera was not recording. I thought it was recording. The very first measurement that you're going to be making use of is your shoulder length or your shoulder width. So you're going to take your tape rule and you measure from one shoulder to the end of another shoulder, your full shoulder length, and mine is 16 inches. You divide that by 2, mine is 8 inches. Then you take from the top of your shoulder to where you want your sleeve to stop, and that is going to be the full length of your sleeve that you want. You add what you have already divided from the shoulder to that sleeve length, and that is what to serve as the purpose for this straight line that I have just drawn, and that is going to be the full length from your shoulder to your sleeve. So remember that to get that straight line, that very long line, we have joined two things together. That is your sleeve length and the length of your shoulder. Now we are going to remove the length of your shoulder from it and mark it, which is 8 inches. So I'm going to take the 8 inches and mark it, which means that whatever is left is what is left for the sleeve. The first thing that we want to get here is to get our shoulder slant, and that means that you have to come down an inch in order to have the shoulder slant, because the shoulder is straight line just like we've drawn. We have to get it to be slant. So you do your 1 inch and join that point up to the folded edge. Now connect that slant edge and draw a straight line. I don't have a ruler, but you should have a ruler. Do as I say, not as I do. So draw a straight line from that edge to the end of your sleeve. Your neck width, I'm going to be using 3.5 for this, because I want to give it kind of like a boat neck, like almost like a straight neck, not a direct circle neck. So that's 3.5. So I've taken 3.5. Then you come down for your neck depth. You will take 3, depending on how deep you want your neck to be. I don't want my neckline to be too deep, so I'm going to take 3. If you want your neckline to be deeper, you can take 4 or 5. This 3 is very small. So if you want more, like to come down 4, but you can take 3, you can take 3.5, you can take 4. For this project, I will take 3. That 3, I will now connect the neck depth to the neck width, and I'm not going to make an outright circle. I'm going to try to make it like a boat neck. Yes. So from there, you now come down. Let's go over to the sleeve. The end of your sleeve, you take, I'm going to take 10 inches, including my allowance from, because this is like a kimono style for the top, so it's not going to have an armhole. So you are going to take from here to here. Wow, my viewers are really going to be happy. You take from here to 10.5, half to account for sewing allowance, because this is going to have a very tight sewing allowance, judging by the limited number of fabric that we have. My bust is 32. So because this is going to be a free top and we are still going to share the top, 32 divide by 4. So when you're sewing, you know that there is the front and the back piece. This that we are cutting now is for only the front. We have not touched the back yet. So my whole round bust is 32. 32 divided by 4. That will be 8. So to 8, I'm going to add 1, 2, 1, 2, 2.5 inches, because it needs to be very free. So I added 2.5 inches at my bust, and then out from there, I'm going to join the arm where I selected there. I'm going to join the armhole curve, and then from your bust point, that point, you take it straight down. I really hope you understand this. And if you don't, let me know. I'll try to keep improving my explanation skills. I'm trying to, like, learn how to really go into teaching more. All right, please like and subscribe. So we're going to go ahead and cut this now. At the end of this, you have one task. You just have to tell me whether I made a mistake changing this up, or I'm not as completely insane as I thought. So we've successfully cut the front piece. This is going to be the front piece of the outfit of the dress. It's completed, and then we're going to move over to the back piece just shortly. The worst thing that can ever happen is that you have recorded and then nothing. I just recorded the back piece, cutting the back piece, and I just realized that it did not record on my phone. I apologize. So I'm going to take it again. So the front piece and the back piece are the exact same thing. So after you folded your fabric, assuming this wasn't cut already, you're going to take what is your front piece and place it right over the back piece. It's the exact same thing. So you're just going to trace the exact same thing that you traced for the front. You trace that exact same thing for the back as well. The only thing that makes the difference from the front and the back is the neck depth. So you can see from, for the front, the neck depth was 3. But I think I'm even gonna make 4 now. So I'm going to make the neck depth 4 because I want it to be a little bit deeper now, because I'm thinking that 3 might be too high up in my neck. So yeah, of course it will. But like I said, you can leave enough room so that when you want to make adjustments, you can. So I'm going to make that adjustment off. I'm getting the sense that these people will like, I'm getting the sense that a lot of people might like the before to the after of this outfit, because the before of this outfit definitely had, you know, a lot of noise to it. So the neck is now deeper. So the only difference between the front piece and the back piece is that the front piece has a neck depth of 2. The front piece has a neck depth of 2. The neck depth at the back is higher, as you can see from like the close up. So in addition to that, I have added a slit of 3 inches. So what I just did, because if you sew it this way, your head will not be able to enter into the garment. So you need at least that 3-inch slit, and just like I have slitted it here, 3 inch, you just open it up by 3 inches, and that slit you're going to sew it up with a bias tape before you close the neck. So that's pretty much it, the front and the back being the same thing. I'm about to cry right now because I just discovered that every single thing that I recorded, the cutting of the shorts, and even the cutting of the back piece of the top wasn't recording. So this is really crazy, y'all. So when you see that I already made the cut, even without explaining, don't think I just, jumped. Just have so happened that my phone messed up and I couldn't record. So let's go over how you can draft yours. And I really do want to see your set. So make sure you share with me. Here's my TikTok page. Just much like the top, we are going to cut the front and the back separate pieces. You fold your fabric into two, just like we have done. You get your crouch depth, and I'm going to show you on the screen just how to calculate your crouch depth, and how you can calculate it is depending on the width of your hips. So based off of the width of the wideness of my own hips, my hips is about 34. Based off the wideness of my hips, my crouch depth is 11. That is why you can see from here to this point I marked 11. So you back from here to this point, you mark 11. You check the midpoint of that, which is 6.5. At the midpoint of that, you're going to mark your hips width, your hip width. So now it's going to be your hip divided by 4 plus an allowance of, you have to give enough allowance depending on how much your fabric, how much width your fabric is. 34 divided by 4 is this. You are going to add elastic. So when you add elastic, it becomes smaller. So you want to give enough allowance so that when you add the elastic, it's not too tight for you. Come in by 3 inches. So just like you curve your armhole or any other curve or your neckline, you do the curve for your this. And the length of my shorts is 13 inches because I want it to be really short shorts. And remember, I don't even have enough fabric because I'm using fabric from an older outfit. Fabric for the back piece that you want to cut, and then place the front that you've already cut over it because it's basically the exact same pattern. You will only be making a few adjustments. So once you place the front over your fabric now, you trace it the same way that you've traced the last one. But here's the trick between the front and the back. The only difference is that the back extends more. You can see that there's enough space. There's more space at the back. At the top here, there's extra space at the top here, which means that you're going to come up by an inch. If you can do 1.5 inch here, that's good. So you trace every other thing, but make sure that this point lines up to that additional 1 inch that you will put in this point. Another thing, you come out in this point, you come out by an additional 1 inch or 1.5 inch. Then you connect the points from here to here on that same curve. Connect every other place and cut out the shape of your back piece. If you have any questions, you can definitely still ask and find out from me in the comments. I'm always active in the comments. So if there's anything that's a little bit confusing, just please ask me. So it's time to go and sew. You want to make sure that you cut long strips like this that you're going to use for your bias tape, or if you already have the pre-made bias tape, you can use it to sew the edges. I haven't decided yet whether should I use a bias tape to turn the neck in, or do I use a facing. My biggest problem with the facing is the fact that it like shows under the fabric, under the main fabric especially. Yeah, so I really don't like a facing that much, so I'll probably use a bias tape to turn the neck. So cut out strips like this, and yeah, let's go and sew. So before we even go and sit on the sewing machine, what we need to do is to mark out the lines for our sharing. And for this, we are going to be doing 1 inch apart for each sharing line. And here I did up to 12 sharing lines from the underbust, which is 14, up to 12 1 inch lines, if you get what I'm saying. So just make those lines for your sharing so that it's easier for you to go through. And what really helps also is if you have a ruler. If you have a ruler, all you just need to do is rule straight lines so that while you're sewing, you don't have to tick with a measuring tape or sew really wobbly lines. So do the exact same thing for your back piece and the two pieces for your shorts. So I will not be able to take the sewing process with you because this video is getting a little too long. So this is the order for the sewing. You have to hem first before you even begin the sharing. This is the order for the sewing. So you have to sew all those pieces in this order. Like 30 minutes prior to when I wanted to start sewing, I had soaked the elastic threads I was going to be using for like 30 minutes in water. Apparently this helps and prevents the elastic thread from breaking while using. And you know, once the elastic thread breaks while you're sharing, it just almost means that you have to start all over again. So make sure to soak your threads, the elastic threads, before you start. You notice I'm sewing so slowly because it's currently like 2 a.m. and this machine makes a lot of noise. It's embarrassing. And many times I have to disturb my neighbors, especially when I'm sewing or I have a project I have to complete before time. And it gets disturbing because the walls are not thick. The walls to this house are not thick. So it's, and this machine is very noisy. So I'm really trying, holding it into so very, very slowly so that I don't disturb or wake anybody. All that is left is to hem just around the sleeves and that's it. It's done. So one more thing that you should not forget is the closure for the back piece. Remember that it had a slit. You need to fix either a hook and an eye, or you go for a button and then a loop closure at the back. But I'm going to do the hook and eye method. So I also want to show you what the inside of the dress looks like so you can know that you're going the right direction. So you can see this is what it looks like on the interior. I don't have a serger or a weaving machine, so yeah. And this is also what the hem looks like. Now let's go to the review.